Welcome to USTC360 Snapshots. I'm Neil Socante. Today we will take a trip to a paradise island called Hawaii. It is here where there is important work being done. Given that Tzu Chi Foundation was created in Taiwan, much of the thoughts, teachings, and history of the founder Dharma Master Zen Yen has been recorded in Mandarin. But to reach the mainstream American audience, these stories, books, and magazines must be translated into English. Volunteer Stephanie Fan saw this need and formed a translation team in Hawaii. So let's go meet them.
I think it was 1999, every single time when I went back to Taiwan and they asked input, I would write that the master teaching should be translated in English for many years. At that time, they couldn't find anyone. We actually was tested. We actually translated 2 episodes and was circulated among the executive in Taiwan, and it's approved that this group can do it. So we started doing this Dharma as Water translation, and with that project, the doors opened.
心事诚诚为大地，慈悲喜舍为和风，智慧妙法为净水。
It's very difficult to find one with all the language skills, so we had to have different language skills to combine them into a big team. So there are 3 major points to this translation principle. We call it FAT, F-A-T. So FAT, F means fidelity or faithfulness.
Means that we are translating the spirit and the essence of the teachings into the language.
A means artistry.
An artful translation means it's enjoyable to read.
And T means transparency.
Transparency means that an English reader, someone who knows nothing about the organization, nothing about Buddhism, nothing about Chinese language or culture, will be able to read the material and understand it. So we are the bridge that allows cultures and languages and ideas to meet.
No changes are ever made and no deletions are ever made without everyone meeting together and talking about it. Anyone who's ever used Google Translate knows that if you just put a sentence in and ask it to translate it, it will give you a broken translation.
I'm currently the translation manager for the Dharma's Water editorial team.
I love talking to him because he always brings a new perspective to things.
We have the opportunity to take Master Zheng Yen's teachings and really bring them to a wider audience, bring them to an English-speaking audience.
I'm very grateful to have Alex here because he speaks both languages. So it's important that he translates the work and then I work with him.
After all these periods of training, he now is our editorial manager. He runs the editorial team.
I remember meeting with Stephanie for the interview, and I knew right there and then that every decision I've made in my life, every job I've had, every move I've made was to end up right here in Hawaii working for Tzu Chi USA. I took off my shirt and I showed Stephanie the tattoo on my back, which brought her to tears because it spelled out the Master's teachings about unconditional love, honesty, respect, and trust.
Timber is really great, too. I work with really great people. I liked Timber the first day I met him.
He's got this incredible, fountain of energy that he really brings to the table.
I don't speak a word of Chinese, which actually helps me. What Alex does, for example, is translate it from Chinese to English, and then I go and translate it from English to English.
My mom moved us here when I was about 7, and I have traveled and I've lived in other places, and I think Hawaii is the best.
It's exciting and sometimes exhausting to listen to how much she does, how many jobs she holds.
And she's an acupuncturist, trained to be, and she's willing to help others. And I just see her gentleness. It just basically is what a quality of Tzu Chi volunteers.
Lily has worked with us in a number of different capacities. She's definitely multi-talented. She just kind of fills in wherever we need her.
Background in college is English major, so she's an editor. She has been an editor.
After the translation has been done, I read through all the English to fix grammar or to highlight things that don't really make sense in English. Sometimes when I feel something is lost in translation.
So it's a joint effort of mutual understanding and respect for one another.
We don't want this to be just about a thinking process. You know, editing can be very cerebral. You're trying to come up with the perfect sentence or the right word. So I think we all take it upon ourselves to really get involved, to have the first-hand experience so that we know in our hearts what the teaching is about.
And if we don't have the English materials, there's no way that the younger generation who come into Tzu Chi.
Okay, I don't read Chinese and I don't speak Mandarin. All the teachings that I have learned from the master is only through English, and the English is from the translations that we've done.
If there was no translation team, I wouldn't be a part of Tzu Chi. Timber wouldn't be a part of Tzu Chi. Lily wouldn't be a part of Tzu Chi. A lot of local volunteers in LA, in Northern California, all over the United States would not be a part of Tzu Chi.
The Chinese are being used by the Chinese population, but the English-speaking population do not have the opportunity to see the teaching, read the teaching firsthand. You know.
The master's teaching is too important to only be available in one language.
The future of Tzu Chi lies in, honestly, non-Chinese speaking populations.
And this is what the translation work is all about, to bring the teaching of purification of the heart to making a reality. The way that she said it is one give rise to infinity, infinity arise in one.
While the Hawaiian volunteers are bridging the gap between Tzu Chi and the English-speaking world, they also focus on the formation of spiritual connections. Many people in our world believe in the notion of separation between the mind and the body. But for volunteer art teacher Cheng Kim, the two processes are very much intertwined. Ever since her childhood, Cheng has believed that art is an act that can bridge the physical and mental being. Now, as an adult, she is teaching this idea through painting. Let's go join her for today's art class.
All my life, I draw, I paint. To enjoy painting and drawing is good. But I think from art, I gain more experience, with to deal with the people. I'm now an art teacher, but I think that I'm not actually focusing to teaching the kids how to draw and paint. I'm teaching the kids art therapy is a healing, it's a heal. You can heal something, and then you can apply the heal thing to become, the arts of living. So this way around, when you see the whole picture, right, you can see, wow, there's an angle right here. Okay, there's an interesting angle right here. Okay, let's go. Kids will come to the class, they're having a bad day, struggling. And then when they draw, they express their feeling. Kind of like make it really natural, And the good day, they're happy, they draw happily.
Arts is important for, I think, whole brain thinking. Academics should take care of a certain part of your brain, but with the arts, you can be creative, you can express yourselves, and you can have what I call creative thinking. All of that is good for brain development. So if students are to grow intellectually, the arts have a significant piece in that.
And I want to show you, this is actually one of these girls, I remember her name is called Lisa. I was with her, to doing the painting and that, and then she has cancer, it's actually in her stomach already, it's really big. So when I teach her, she was really have a big impact to teach me. Life is, treasures. I'm actually the last day of, of my stage. But every time that I do something, I really have to treasure, And this is actually the group of kids that, they forget about their illness, and they forget about their suffering. It reminds me, the Master Cheng saying that, at the moment, it just have to be, that focusing on that moment.
While the visual arts and even performance arts are uniquely suited to bridging the body and mind, sometimes the mind is divided upon itself. In uncertain and troubling times, self-doubt, second-guessing, frustration, or anger can cloud one's judgment. Many people work through these issues through writing. Jimmy Wu, a former prison inmate we have met on previous episodes, is one person that uses writing to come to greater understanding and growth.
We're
we're very grateful to invite Jimmy Wu to our facility today. Actually, we invited him last year in March. That was the first time he came to the old facility and gave our young member a speech. It was really well received. Many parents and students are so interested and inspired by his speech, so we invited him back.
Straight A's when I was younger.
When he wrote about how he was angry and stupid and young, and then he found a outlet through writing, I could completely relate to that because I myself, like whenever I'm angry or something, then I usually use writing to express that. And it's very important for people to find that outlet when they're angry. So I thought that was like a beautiful part.
I got arrested, and I thought that this friend that I had would stick with us, would stick with me and my other crime partner. None of us were going to blame anyone. We were just going to go through this together. We committed this crime together. We would suffer from the consequences and take our punishment together. But he was advised by his attorney not to do that, not to break, to actually break the code of silence. And so on one day, while we were still in juvenile court fighting our juvenile fitness hearing, he testified against me and my other crime partner. And he got on the stand and basically said that he was acting under duress, which meant that he felt his life was in imminent danger, that if he did not commit this crime with us, we were going to hurt him, that I directly was going to hurt him. So that was his excuse to the courts of why he committed this crime. After he testified against us, they split us apart, and I never saw him again. Going back to my room at Central Juvenile Hall that day, completely devastated, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy did this. And I was furious. I was so angry. And so fast forward all these years in prison, I never forgot about him. And every time I thought about him, I was just so consumed with rage, with fury. And I had these constant fantasies of what I actually wanted to do to him. And I was hoping for the day to be able to act out on my revenge, to be able to make him pay for what I believed he did to me directly. Your brother's gonna die. She wants his stuff.
If he hadn't released all his emotions like that, if he hadn't forgiven the accomplice of his, he would have very likely done something very violent. He could have hurt other people, and then it would just send him back into jail, back into basically the beginning of that cycle where he was in juvie, he was in jail. Everything would just start over again. He wouldn't progress. There would be no, I guess, end to this cycle for him. So I think that being able to have that kind of control is very important.
A few months ago, I was on Facebook and I happened to see his name pop up. I sat there looking at him and all these emotions coursed through my body. And then I thought about everything that I've gone through, about the person that I am today, about all the people that believe in me, about the belief I now have in myself, about learning about restorative justice, about healing, healing for me, healing for my victims, the victims' families, the community, just healing all around. And I said, you know what? I'm going to forgive this person. Not because I really want to forgive him, but because I want to heal. I don't want to always have this anger, all these frustrations, all this resentment towards him, towards our justice system every time I think about him. I want to forgive him and just move on, to finally get rid of this shadow that is always constantly following me. So I typed him a personal message on Facebook and I sent it to him, and I told him that I understood that we were 16 years old when we committed our crime, that we were both equally terrified of the potential outcome of our case, and that I was actually glad, and really glad, no longer sarcastic, but really glad that he didn't have to go through 13 and a half years of hell the way that I did, and that I wished him the very best, that I forgave him, and that I hope he would take care of himself, and that was it. And as soon as I did that, within minutes, I just felt this huge sense of relief, like this huge burden had been lifted from my shoulders, up from my shoulders. And I sat there, I started crying. I started crying because I was an emotional wreck, and just finally being able to let go of all this hate and this resentment, and finally feel nothing but relief and peace and serenity. It just consumed me with this overwhelming sense of joy. So why should you constantly put yourself through suffering when you could relieve yourself of this unnecessary suffering? So when I forgave him, I relieved myself of the suffering.
By forgiving the man who wronged him, Jimmy Woo not only bridged the divide within himself, but he reached out to form ties with the community. No matter which community you are in, nor what place you hold in it, these ties to those around us makes each individual stronger. Connie Calderon, a volunteer at the Tzu Chi Free Clinic in Wilmington, California, also shares how her experience with the clinic makes her community stronger.
Yeah, it feels good to give, but to receive is also good. And that's what I've been receiving. I've been receiving a lot of love here through the way they treat me.
When she's here, if she has time, so she will help us to take care of the garden. So she will help us weeding and also watering the plant. When we have some patient come in who cannot speak English at all, she come here and help us to translate some Spanish. She's really patient. She's a really, really nice person, and she's friendly, and she's willing to help people.
This is me. I'm from the hood. My whole family, we're all raised here. Wilmington is my home, literally my home. I went to parochial school right over here. This is my church here. I was baptized.
Besides volunteer work in the Tzu Chi Wilmington Clinic Center, Connie is also actively involved in the community. The teen center that she established for decades helps local teens to break away from the streets and drugs.
This is my community, and my community's happy, then we're all happy. Dr. Wu was the one that kind of just started talking to me and changing my ways, my habits of eating, and he's teaching me how to meditate. And it's very relaxing. I'm not as stressed. I'm not yelling at the kids I work with.
Exercising.
I know. This is my hero. No. Right here. Yes, you are. This is my hero. You treat me good. I feel good because of her.
Our master with the dirty housewife together, before they go to grocery shop, they just put some money in, and then at the end of the month, they collect all the money together to help people who need it. So we let Connie know this story. So she's really like the story. When we have patient here, she start telling patient, you should donate some money, and then you should help people.
Because I do help other people, people always give me things. And so all I do is share the wealth. There's a lot of poor people, and it's not necessary for them to suffer. I just see the good, and I just follow it, wherever it is.
That's a really nice quality, too.
And that's what makes me feel good.
The Wilmington Tzu Chi Community Clinic was opened in 2010, specializing in dental and acupuncture services, with a focus on preventative medicine. It offers services at low cost to the public, as well as free lifestyle and wellness lectures. The clinic seeks to be a friend to the community that Tzu Chi is a part of. Forging these relationships is no different for the businesses in the community. Panda Express, a casual restaurant chain serving American Chinese food, is one of them. The founder, Cheng, not only believes in community activism, but in the self-improvement of its employees. It is with this in mind that he started a partnership with the foundation.
In February 2013, Tzu Chi volunteers hosted a tea party at Panda Express corporate headquarters for over 400 employees. Volunteers work with employees to provide vegetarian meals for the event, to show Tzu Chi through all senses: sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste.
We brought 8 of our cooking volunteers to work with their 8 staff members. We are providing 400 executive managers with vegetarian meals. We emphasized on a humanistic culture.
Today we are really happy to have the chance to work with Tzu Chi. We are learning from each other and exchanging our culinary experiences. Because vegetarian meals are very important to us as well, a lot of our customers hope to see more vegetables in our dishes, so we are very happy to meet and work with them.
The Tzu Chi Foundation is a very powerful organization. doing great things with great efficiency too. We feel that with every dollar of donation, Tzu Chi does more than what a dollar can do.
捐1块钱给慈济，慈济可以做呢1块钱以上的工作。
Panda Express founder is not only appreciative of Tzu Chi's charitable works, but he also shares environmental ideals. Scattered around the headquarters are signs of this, from the electric car stations to the prominently displayed recycling options. When volunteers shared Tzu Chi environmental cups, they were embraced by the employees.
I received it from them, so I appreciate this cup. And it's so easy for me to hold, put in my pocket instead of a big one. Every single day, even at home too.
我们就在想，就是说 Panda 呢自己也有一些经费啊。
We thought Panda has funds to be donated to the community. How can we bring Tzu Chi Foundation to our company and bring our company into Tzu Chi? This is our start. Tzu Chi also has branches in multiple places in the U.S. With our forces combined, we can do more.
的力量合在一起，可以多做一点事情。
我想他的陈总裁呢非常有心。
I think Chairman Cheng is very thoughtful in urging 92 of his senior executives to join the Tzu Chi Global Entrepreneur Seminar in Taiwan. From the participation, they can experience Tzu Chi's culture and philosophy in person. Hopefully, they will be inspired to bring them back to the U.S.
受到感动，然后带回到美国。
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to go over to the camp and learn something. And, you know, there's so many people out there who just give to others and really just feel amazing because of that.
When I think about Tzu Chi, I think about this amazing organization. They bring out your love for others.
这些经理呢，也希望他们
These managers are willing to know Tzu Chi, so we hope this outreach event can be a good chance to introduce Tzu Chi and its humanistic culture to them.
也同时介绍给他们。
As part of their introduction, Tzu Chi volunteers also played a video showing its relief efforts for Superstorm Sandy survivors.
Watching the video and really seeing what this organization does for people, and just the dedication just takes from the heart, just wanting to give oneself. So it's really moving to see that there's so many people out there that just really care.
I'm very touched. My tears fell. The most inspiring was how they made the bamboo banks and taught their children to help others through the bamboo charity bank. Tzu Chi's spirit is all about helping others.
Both Tzu Chi and Panda Express look forward to several joint projects already in the works. And with Panda Express seeking opportunities for community activism, it is hopeful that the relationship between the two can grow even more strong and deep.
There are potential connections in our lives. It's through our connections and the bridges that we build between ourselves and each other that we become stronger. Thank you for watching us. I'm Neil Sokant, and I'll see you soon.